but you should still pay attention. Because the hatch seemed like it was a bit of a shit show, pardon my French, we're going to be doing the lines like it's shown in this one moving forward. Yeah, Kivion? Your hatch did look good. Yeah, I mean, let me think about it. There was a couple of you who had hatches, gradient hatches that actually looked good. I did wish I knew why. But we're going to do the lines like the elevations we went from, and you should still know how to do this because chances are you're going to have to draw a curved elevation in the future and might want to use these. So let's go ahead and make a new layer for them, and we're going to do new sublayer. Let's do pattern, gradient lines. And now I'm probably as good of a time as, all right, we're going to pause halfway through. Yes, but, yeah, but still pay attention.
Wait, did you just make the bottom one?
Yeah, I just did the pattern gradient lines. So when you're printing, so a couple of you had your ground line printed gray. You need to make sure that, oh, it's in here, is like that your print for most of your lines are set to black. So the diamond shape is what it's going to print as, and the square color is what it displays as. For the gray lines, or the gradient lines, we want it to be light gray. Apply, and we want them to be, let's do 0.13. We'll print it and see how it looks. It might be that it's too light. Sometimes you have to play around with it. And then everybody else, take a look at those. If some of you are having issues with the way that the lines were printing, I would check here. Okay. So we've got that set up. Who here was having trouble with their printing lines? There was a few. All right, anyway, if that doesn't clear it up, let me know after class. So we made our pattern gray lines. Let's change the color so we know what we're working with. How about, you want to do gold? All right, we'll do gold. So what we're going to do is the same thing we've done a million times, but it's a U house. So we're going to trace the U bend. Arc, start point. Whenever I say U bend, I think of a toilet. I don't know why. Why is it doing this? What is that line? Do I have ortho on? Okay, trace your U line. And then move it. And move it straight below your drawing of your elevation. So if you have ortho on and you just drag it, it should drag directly underneath. It will, yeah, yellow and orange are very similar. We don't need our picture plane on anymore, so we'll just turn off the colors. So you select your new line. Have any of you used divide before? It's a good one. So we're going to divide the line. And what this is going to do is it's going to divide the curve into even sections. Let's do 40. Sorry, guys. Okay, so we have 40 points. So just like with the elevation, let's delete our hatch.
Wait, can we pause? I'm sorry, I don't know about anybody else.
Yeah, do we need to pause? What's not clear?
All the way back to when you made the line.
Okay, so you have the line, just bring it down directly below the elevation you drew, which should correlate with your plan. Right? No, I'm sure you're not the only one who's behind, so please let me know if we need time to catch up. I remember what it's like to be behind, and some professors can go really, really fast, and it can be overwhelming. All right, so, oops, so then what you do is kind of like the reverse of what we did for the with the plan. So you'll just draw all these lines up. It will be a little bit tedious. So basically it's showing like the same distance but along a curve, which will create an effective pattern that will represent.
Wait, where'd you put the first gold line at the bottom, right?
Yeah, I just did it at the bottom. If it goes outside of it, delete it. Sure.
When you were showing me, you were saying that the side of this is flush, but when you look here,
Yeah,
it
it's
brings
not.
it in.
It's. I see that too. I would
realized
just.
that I was like, why is this like that? Should I
Um,
just fix it?
I looked at the elevation because I was bothered by that too, and I would leave it because all of the front perspective photos show it looking like that.
Okay.
And then I would just. I mean, what we could do.
And I don't know why, but like for some reason when I put it back in, like it just it's like not lining up, so I'm gonna have to redo it. But
Yeah, I actually had a similar weird thing. It might have just like sometimes you can accidentally move it and remember that like you're drawing from your lines and not the elevation, so that's probably why it doesn't perfectly match up.
right.
Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna keep going real quick on this. Yeah.
I'm not snapping.
Where are your snaps? Snap to point.
Oh.
So one thing that's important is that you have point on here collected for your snap points. It's this thing over here, and then that will snap. You think 40 is too much? If you think 40 is too much, do 35. I did 30 and it didn't look like it was enough. So, and then one suggestion that Darren was talking about is you can make it really long, and you can select the line, and you can copy it, and you can do this.
So how did you get the 40 points?
To get the 40 points, you click on the line and you hit divide. And then you put in, it says how many equal segments do you want, and you say 40. But Darren thinks 40 might be too much. We can look at it.
I don't know, because it's divided so much, they all look very even. And
Well, we could take a look. I mean, I did 30 earlier, and I didn't like it, so that's why I was trying 40. Hold on, I think. Hold on, this is what 30 looks like.
it almost seems like the natural number is like
34? Yeah, I mean, the other thing I was going to think about having you guys do is just draw the steps up, because that would also create a increasing frequency. But again, like, we don't have to be the same in this. You just want it to have the look. So if you want to make it 35, we can make it 35. So once you have all of that, we put the trim tool to good use. I don't. So the first time I did it, I did 30 because I thought that might work, and I didn't like the way it looked. So this time I tried 40. I'm not sure I like that either. It doesn't have to match the elevation, but kind of just so that you think it looks right, or like that you can kind of tell what's trying to happen. And then another thing that Liz had pointed out that I'd also noticed is the curve of the ends here, so it might be more useful to try and just do the arc to here.
But then if you do the arc to there, it will not give it the same radius with it.
It might. Oh shoot, I did the wrong arc. It will probably look. Okay. Yeah, that's where it'll be kind of weird. So I don't know if that would work better, but so that's the principle. another thing we could do, another time saving is to mirror. So let's do line, midpoint. So here's our midpoint. And we can take these and we can mirror them. So here are more time saving ways. Voila! I would just mirror it halfway through. And then you just trim it so your light projection thing is not going to be there. Trim your steps. Because you wouldn't see it. You're doing just. We could probably copy it to the other elevations. So let's see. And then we can do copy and then extend. That looks good. I would, yeah.
Really? Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, and then
Look
you
even to
trim.
me maybe because I don't have my glasses.
How many sections did you do?
This is 35, but I didn't do all 35 because they were going out.
Okay. Yeah, no, that looks pretty good. So I just trim it and then.
Yeah.
34.
You think? So you think?
40 seems like a bit too much.
Yeah, I got done with 40 and I was like,
If it looks like too much, it probably is too much. So feel free to do it 35 once you know how to do it. And if you also notice like the mirror halfway through, that'll save you time. And let's just go ahead and do these. Okay. So now we have our lines. So the other issue is, all right, how are we, you want to give another second to work on these before we move to the next part?
yeah.
Okay. It would not go into the door because that door is flat. So you only want the lines to be on the part that's curving. Yeah, so that's why I ended up flipping it. Because then it, like if you find the midpoint. Oops. And you just take this side and mirror it, it'll look more even. I mean, theoretically, it might not look as, like that curve that we're seeing on the front elevation would probably be a little bit more spaced out, but,
How do you say this? Because I started with 40, but I just deleted the innermost middle.
I think that looks good too. That's another way, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, what Darren did is he just deleted some of the middle ones to create more of the curve. That's also an option. So let's group this.
And we're just doing this method for all the other areas we have.
Yep, and so I'm going to show just like one side of it, and I'm just going to do copy paste. I did. Alright. Are we ready to move on to matching building heights? Or we're still trimming. Alright, you guys can go back to trimming, but like just so we can get through everything. So this stuff you can do at home as long as you understand the concept of it, okay? So what I did is I selected this elevation and I copied it. And then I moved it down to my west elevation and I rotated my screen. So we all remember how to rotate. All of those are familiar commands. The other thing I did is I grouped it. So you select and go group. Actually, I'm going to ungroup it in a second anyway. But you will want to create a line. You will want to match it up here. Let me use def points. So, okay, and then you want to make sure that your elevations are the same height. If they are not, match it to the front elevation. So make sure it doesn't have, as long as all of your elevations match each other, it's okay. But you want to just make sure that when you put them all next to each other, they will all be the same height. So you can do the same thing with this one. Copy, move it down, rotate it with the gumball, get this surface isn't smooth. And we can do move. So when you line them all up, they should be the same height. So that's just something you can do and just correct by moving your the blue line, the thick border up. It won't be too hard.
Should we base them all off of north?
I would do north. That's the first one we did. So what I did is once I did north, I brought it down when I was doing the west one, and I noticed that they were different, so I matched them to the first one I did. I don't think we have anything that we can definitively say what the right one is. So gumball. Do you know where gumball is? Okay. Oh, rotate the screen.
Yeah.
So if you have nothing selected, you'll look in viewpoint properties. It's this up here. And you go down and rotation is right here. So yeah, 90, 180, 270 will all get you where you need to be. So I'm going to ungroup this. So that's just, it would theoretically be a slightly different curve, but we could probably save time and just do something like this. Actually, I don't know if this is the correct way to do it. I probably shouldn't do it like that. But voila. And then trim. So you do want to have like some sort of method of making sure that there's space, and the best way to do that is to divide a curve that matches it. And so the same thing if you're ever drawing brick on a building, you will draw the bricks and plan and then bring them forward. Yes, I am. It is being recorded. Although I don't know that I want it recorded that I said just copy it. Because probably the right way to do it is to do the same thing, which is probably what you should do. What? Yeah, we're doing these lines instead of the hatch because hatching is acting crazy and it's only something that's been in Rhino for 6 months. Yeah, so Rhino 6 didn't have it, so that's why like nobody else had used it before. And I was like, oh cool, it's actually not that hard. And then I went to print it and I was like, And I was searching forums and whatever, and because it's new, there's no info on it. Okay, so we got them height matched. And then I'm going to quickly talk about how to do the windows.
Wait, I'm sorry.
No, please. You're not, I bet you're not the only one who's curious about something.
I was just wondering how to make it online again, or make the
Oh, did
height the same.
the same? Okay, so you select your building, and then, so I drew a line out from the bottom of this one, and then I put this one to there, and so then I'll take another def line, and I'll extend my north elevation to it, and I'm like, oh look, it matches, but say it doesn't. I would just take the blue line and match it to this depth point. So basically you're creating a depth point like you did for the north elevation, but using your old elevations as your new reference.
And then do you use scale, like, to fit it with the blue line?
I would just, like, because these elevations are so simple, I would just redraw the line, or just, yeah. Yeah, so let's put the image on. Why is that over there? Oh, I think this isn't the layer that I drew it on. I've got multiple files going, sorry. Yeah, my mouse is also being annoying. Hmm.
If our roof is
A quarter of an inch, then it's fine. If it's more than that, I mean, the right answer is yes. You should always have everything match perfectly. So if we match our ground lines, you see that this one in the elevation, which you guys probably use, is slightly different. So say I had drawn it here. What I would do is just take my line, I would make a polyline, and I would just redraw the silhouette. And that's really the only thing that's going to need to change. Like, it's a pretty simple fix. So unless, yeah.
And then like whatever other lines you use.
Yeah, so yeah, and like similarly, if you're using, I would use this one to determine that one. Ooh, blue. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so I would be like, okay, good. These front doors match up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Uh, I think the front door was no, it was different. So you want to match it to your drawing.
And then did you have to change the south elevation too, then since it's like.
Yes, I did, because that one was a little bit off too. So you just match all of your drawings to your drawings. So if you did your east elevation and you did the wall this height, you want to make sure that on the south elevation the wall is the same height. And you just do that by copying it and lining them up. So I'm gonna lock this.
the neutral ground between all the drawings is the heaviest line.
Yep. And sometimes people display their elevations as if they're all lined up. So that'll.
Is that how we will represent our final?
Um,
All of our
I haven't decided yet. I think I had them as like fours, but I do love a like ground plane elevation
Yeah.
line. Like, I think stylistically they look pretty cool. And then if we do it like that, you'll definitely not be able to get away with having different heights for your elevations. So yeah, so line them up all like that, and then you can do the correcting. It's really, you don't have to worry about the windows or things like that, just the roof line for most of the part. And then there was a couple of you who didn't notice that the roof looks more like a cat in the back. Just to be clear, here, we'll get rid of this hatch. The front, the edge, the profile that's in front of you should be heavy, and the one that's far away from you should be medium. So if you didn't do them that way, make sure that you do. I did this roof line quickly, so don't look at it too closely. All right, and so for the roof line, we'll do the same thing, arc. You'll copy it. How do you get rid of that one? So,
How tall is the box supposed to be?
no idea. Just use them the same in all of them and look at a picture and be like, okay, looking at the steps, we said the steps are about 5 inches. They look like they're 3 steps up. I mean, you do forensic work. Like, let's look at a picture. What's that? Yes, we'll look at their roof too. And also, Liz pointed out very observantly that these have a weird ledge in them. Do you guys see that?
Oh my gosh.
So theoretically in profile, we should be showing that. In the west and east elevation, we should draw these jetting out. Do you guys see?
Yeah.
So you only have to draw it once. It's not like we have to draw each one. So like luckily it's a quick little move. But let's look for how tall are these boxes. Oh, just 1 second. So if we look at the boxes, they're in front of the steps, and so these are about 10 inches. So it looks like I fell prey to the elevation sources. They look like they're probably only like 2 feet or maybe 10 inches. Yeah.
Up to the second from left, like the middle step.
Yeah. Do you see like it's up to the second step, which is they're probably about a foot high. So yeah, let's go back and change it. So here's the scale 1D I told a couple people about. So scale 1D, you select your 2 ends, and then what are we going to do, 10 inches? Let's do 12 inches. Let's just do 12. And then we have scaled these. So the width doesn't change, only the height. So we can go back and do that on these. And again, we'll probably have to then extend our lines, but okay, scale 1D. Okay, so then we have changed our block things to be 12 inches after doing some forensic research.
So you select about the box and you can scale 1D.
Scale 1D, and so you select one edge of one box, and then you just put in 12 inches.
The box to the bottom edge of the same box.
So, and then you're going to have to clean up your drawing.
How come it pulls it up?
You close my boxes up instead of pulling my
Oh,
top.
what size did you make them?
Is
Were
it
they
just
previously short?
Does the order matter? No, it's
Oh, okay, so let me, yeah.
It's pulling the legs of them.
Are they,
Can you see?
oh, yes, it does matter which order.
So do I have to go top?
Yeah, you go bottom to top. I didn't actually know that, I just. Scale 1D, so you check the bottom and the top, and you do 12.
I was gonna ask you about this. I noticed the way that I made my floor plan matches this, but this photo doesn't match. So like the door starts further out than the end of the building,
Yes.
and like on this floor plan it matches up with it, but in this floor plan.
So yeah, we're gonna get into how we're gonna draw that.
Okay,
But,
cool.
yeah, we're gonna do the front door as part of it because a lot of people had off-centered front doors. So, and then, yeah, theoretically, we should now do our weird box thing. So polyline. What thickness do we think those things are? Say 3. All right, so now we have recreated the profile of our weird tombstone garden accents. And again, just make sure that if you do make a decision on how you're representing it, you can defend it or, yeah. So I think using photographs of the actual building is a pretty good way of doing it. Okay, so you want to talk about the back of the house, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
But my question was, once we make a new polyline to make it even, do we have to adjust anything on the inside, or is it fine? Because it's only just like a little bit.
for the roof height, you don't have to adjust anything else, just the roof line.
Okay.
Yep, it's a pretty quick fix. Okay, so for both of these, you should theoretically remake an arc, divide it to do. Ooh, let me think. Yeah, how do they do this? Let's rotate this. So for this one, you would actually arc, oops, cancel. So I would create both arcs and then connect them. Alright, so that's going to be confusing, but we'll show. Start point. Okay, and then let's pull it down. And let's just divide this one by 20. Did that even divide? So one way to do this is to just match these, and that will kind of give you the slope look. I don't love that. All right. Sorry, I just decided this morning when I was trying to print and couldn't problem solve the gradient that we were going to do it this way. So I'm relearning too. Yeah, you could try that, or, I mean, to make it the most. I don't think you need to use this bottom one. You could probably just pick a center point. Down here. And you probably need way under 20. I'm going to double check and do some research. In the meanwhile, you can also just copy what she did. Although we know that she's not a very trustworthy source, so I'm going to double check the method I just told you. It seems I've not done a sloped roof in a U-bend before, which is like two different modes of projection that I want to double check before I tell you to do it officially. But the other ones are so good. Okay, so let me go through my things to talk about. Okay, so we did the south elevation, matching heights, the west windows. Okay, so we had a lot of people who went by the elevation drawing rather than their plans. If you'll notice, I didn't copy, I just dragged the whole thing. So these windows, what just happened? So if we look in the plan, we'll notice that this is a large window that has three panes. It should be displayed as a large window with 3 panes. I looked for a long time. I could not find any images of the west side of the building or the east side of the building. So as for height, we're guessing. It's next to a kitchen, so I guess that the bottom of the window was countertop height, which is around 36 inches. So if you wanted to make an argument that maybe because this was a private home, it was higher up, I would take that, but, I didn't trim this one yet. So make sure you have your argument for it. Are these not even? Okay. So make sure you fix that if you haven't. Another one is how did you do this? If you decided that this was a door, then show it as a door. If you did that this is a passageway and the door is here, make sure you don't give it a double an offset here. So I just showed the back door behind it in light. If you did draw it as a door and you can support that you think that is a door, that's okay, but just make sure you have an argument. Okay, so let's go back to 0 rotation and look at our front elevation. A lot of you have a off-center door. So I think some of you just drew this all very differently. So I didn't draw the door frame because I couldn't see it in the photos, but I did draw the center line. Check where you made check where you're drawing your lines from. If you draw your door frame from here, and from here, it should end up center, but if maybe you drew it from here, from the threshold instead of from the door frame, I think that's why a lot of you have off-center doors. Does that make sense? And, okay, another thing I want everyone to do is to open up their templates and find this line, which is, for whatever reason, just randomly on the template, and delete that son of a gun. So, it should be all of them because you probably copied all of them, so make sure you go to all of your plans, or your templates, find this random line, delete it. It's my mistake. I don't know how that got there. It probably, you did? Yeah, I'm not sure how it got there, but the other thing is if one of your other drawings shows up in one of your elevations, make sure you move it away. So that whether that's selecting it and dragging it down or to the left or to the right, just make sure that when you test it, it looks, when you put it in the window that you can't see it. So let's go back to the top view. I'm going to get rid of these guys. Okay, and then let's look at our print lines just to 2, 4, 2, 7. Woo! And let's save it as a PDF. It's thinking hard. Okay, so I think once we just look at the line weights and how they look in the computer, test. I generally save things I think I'll delete on the desktop so they're easier to clean up. So this is what our line weights look like. What do you guys think? Do you think the lines, any of them should be darker or lighter? Ooh, is this uneven too? Oh, that should be trimmed. Sorry, I didn't go through. I had to do these quickly because I had some other shit going on in my life. So I haven't fully cleaned up my drawings. I just kind of went through it to find out where the common mistakes were going to be. So yeah, what do we think about line weights? You think they're beautiful? I don't know. I think maybe we want the medium lighter. Let's see. So medium is 0.18. Heavy, what did we make? We could do 0.5 for heavy and see how crazy that looks. Okay, let's do. For the gray line, for the gradient ones, I would do that 0.13 or 0.18. I think 0.13 kind of looks a little bit light. So here's what it is now. It's 0.18 in my computer. Oh no, it's 0.13. Sorry.
What is our
For the medium line, we're at 0.18. I think so. Let's look at it. All right, here they are. So we just moved the bottom line to 0.5, and the medium, yeah, the heaviest is 0.5. Heaviest 0.5. 0.3. Mm-hmm. Light is, and again, this is like the sensibility part of it, where you kind of look at it and you say, ooh, do I like it, or are these two similar, or are these two dissimilar? So we're just kind of being finicky here, which is part of being an architect. Okay, so I'm going to keep these like this. Again, don't change it too drastically, but yeah. Take a look at, oh, the last thing is the windows. I'm just going to really quickly show how to do window with panes. Let's do the back window. Okay. Again, I'm doing the abbreviated version.
Yeah, that's why we're not lining up for me.
Okay, so yeah, the stairs don't line up on the image a lot. So here is our depth points for our window. Let's do a rectangle, and we want, after it always goes like, the profile is heavy, and then it goes medium, and then if there's anything inside the medium, it goes light. So we do medium for the window or a door. We got our medium. Oops, let's do another depth line for our window pane. Okay. So now that we have our medium line, we are going to select light, and we're going to go offset. I'm going to do 1.5 inches. All right. That seems pretty reasonable. And now I'm going to do this line, and let's turn the depth lights off. I'm going to offset. I'm going to do 0.75. I'm going to do it on both sides, and there's actually a both sides command. Boop. And then you delete the one in the middle, and you trim, and you have a very even, nice offset window pane in the correct line weights. All right, so I'm going to stop recording.